All right, Karen, would you please say your name and spell it?
Karen Johnson, KarenJohnson.
All
Or do
right.
you want Kirby in it? Karen Kirby Johnson.
And what is your title? Are you spokesperson, owner,
No, I am,
family member?
I'm Kevin's sister.
Okay.
Thomas and Ann are my parents. And we are very fortunate to be able to live on some land of the family farm.
Okay. Do me a favor and take 2 steps back so we get you a little closer to the, yeah, right there. Great. All right, and we got a little bit different light here. That looks good. Okay. Tell me a little bit about agriculture in this area.
I don't think people really understand how important it is. It's probably still the #1 industry for Hanover County. It's very diversified, as they have said. We have everything from produce, grain, livestock, which includes beef, swine, goats, sheep, equine. We also have berry farms and orchards, greenhouses, Christmas tree farms. So Hanover is very diversified in its agriculture, which probably does make it one of the more unique counties in the state with all the diversity we have.
What types of crops do you grow on this operation?
So the farm is owned by my parents and brother. They are known as produce farmers or truck farmers, grain, cattle and hogs. So as far as produce goes, they raise tomatoes, Hanover tomatoes, summer squash, peppers, various varieties of jalapenos, bell peppers, eggplants, cantaloupes, watermelons, cucumbers. So a very wide array of vegetables. Grain is field corn, soybeans, wheat and barley. And then they also have a cattle operation and a small hog operation as well.
Wow, it's a lot. How do you see, or what changes have you seen compared to 10 or 15 years ago?
Well, I grew up on the family farm. Now we're talking 20 or more years ago. It's very different from when I grew up. When I grew up, it was my parents and my brother. In the summer, you might have a cousin working for you. We did the picking. My dad did the selling and the hauling of it. But now, my brother's running it. Instead of leaving with a ton truck full of produce, he has tractor and trailers running up and down the road full of produce. Technology plays a much larger role. You don't call on the phone and place your orders anymore. They do it by email, over the computer. The bookkeeping's even different. They have workers now, many more workers than when we had growing up. So it's really evolved over the years, and you have to grow to stay in the business, and they've managed to do that.
That's excellent. Is there something that's driving that change? You sort of said technology, but I don't know.
Well, to be in the business of produce and to make a living off of farming, that's what my parents and brother do. They do not work outside of the household. Their sole income is for farming. So they have to generate enough income to sustain a lifestyle, to also pay all their bills, to pay their workers. So yes, you have to grow in order to be able to do that, and they have done that. It's still a family farm. They just had to expand to make it work for them.
Okay. What would you like viewers to take away? And again, sometimes it's just a feeling. It's like, I didn't know that. Or sometimes it's, just a story. But what would you like people to take away?
Everybody needs to understand that their lives are touched by agriculture. The food you eat, you don't go to the grocery store and that food's just shown up. It took a lot of hard work and dedication to get it there. Even the fuel you put in your car, the clothes you wear on your back, your lives are touched daily by agriculture. So I want people to understand the importance of it, to know your local agriculture. Like my brother said, this country is very diversified in agriculture. Cotton's grown down south, peanuts, where we don't grow that here. But get to know your local agriculture, know what's raised in your area, understand it, and embrace it. And and be proud that you do have agriculture, and that, you know, there's 2%, less than 2% of farmers that feed this country and the world. And if you have farming in your community, you should be very proud of that.
That's awesome. 2 more questions. And one is, tell me about Hanover tomatoes.
So a lot of people will think a Hanover tomato is the actual plant. It's not. It's just a tomato plant grown in Hanover County. The eastern half of the county is really where the Hanover tomato is known, and the one that's recognized. It's a vine-ripened tomato. And it is known statewide, probably even in other states. I can remember as a child people coming from the mountains because they wanted Hanover tomatoes. So yeah, the Hanover tomato, it's not a plant. You can't go buy a Hanover tomato plant anywhere. But if you plant your, you know, tomato plant in Hanover, you're going to get a Hanover tomato.
Perfect. And my final question goes back to just an overview of the county. Give me a little, and I don't know how you would do it, but can you compare Hanover to, say, the rest of Virginia?
I think Hanover has more agriculture than people probably realize. We have large grain farms, large produce farms. You have the smaller farmers. But, you know, if you go to some neighboring counties, Henrico, they have some agriculture too, but maybe not as much. I have some friends that live in Southwest Virginia, and it's been pretty neat to see over the years produce farming has grown out that way as well. So, you know, Hanover is very diverse, but there is still a large portion of agriculture, and I think that's what people need to understand. I don't think they really understand how much agriculture, and when you say agriculture, that includes farming, but there's also a lot of businesses in this county that support agriculture. We have several equipment dealerships, wholesale produce companies, grocery stores. They're doing the local movement. So that's agriculture. It's farming and the other things that go along with it.
And I promise, last question. But is this part of Brodus Flats? Can you describe what Brodus Flats is?
So it's Brodus Flats.
Okay.
When you come off the hill on 360, this is known as Brodus's Flats. The Broduses owned it, you know, pre-Civil War. They still own some of it. You know, this is River Road. We're called River Road because the Pamunkey River is right over there. So we're still on the Hanover side. You cross that river, you're in King William. Yeah, that's about all I know.
Okay. Well, you did fantastic.
Thank you.
Station really.
Okay.
The way I do it.
Sound
Yeah, that's good right there. Just try not to move too much. You can just look at me and not the camera. I guess really. I've got some questions we can go through, and then I can we can just talk a little bit. But tell me a little bit about Hanover agriculture. You know, what makes Hanover different maybe than some of the other counties in Virginia?
I don't. You're asking the wrong questions to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's extension agent question, not me. I know what we do. I don't know what everybody else does.
Okay, tell me a little bit about what you do.
We're a diversified produce operation. We've been growing produce me and my sister, the 4th generation here. We grow, I think it's 20 some different types of produce. We also grow some corn, soybeans, and small grain. We run about 60 head of beef cattle, and we still have some hogs in production.
Does the local agriculture benefit local consumers and stuff?
Yes, local in the last 5 years has become a major push. It has helped us grow, but you know, we've been in the business for years. But with the local movement, it's been easier to market product. We market most of our produce probably, I would say, in the Mid-Atlantic region, Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina. With the local movement, it has made it a lot easier.
Yeah, people seem to want to know where their food's coming from.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing this for a while, so has it has it changed much in the last 10, 15 years?
Yes,
Agriculture?
yes. Especially with the local movement coming on. As a kid growing up, we were competing against the large growers that were really putting the volume out there, and it has gotten easier to sell the product with the local movement. The customer is looking for a local product. They want to know where their product's coming from, who's growing their product. So a lot of our customers that we sell to, which are wholesalers, they highlight us as a farm, in our area, and it helps sell the product real good. Yeah.
So I guess I want to ask a little bit about technology. Does that affect you at all, the newer technology?
We try to stay up to date. We are running GPS in our spray rigs. We're not running GPS on everything yet, but we do use GPS. We do use a lot of technology. I would say we've got another generation coming, and I would say they're going to be 100% involved in technology.
You were saying that the field has different kinds of soil. This squash looks pretty amazing. I mean, what crops do you really do good on here?
Well, squash has always been one of our major summer crops. We've kind of learned over the years what we can and can't do with it, so that helps. We've been growing squash for a long time, but squash takes a lighter loamy soil. We say they take a light soil, but when it's dry, they grow good on heavy soil. But when we get wet conditions, like for the last 4 or 5 days, we've been getting a little bit of rain every night. It's not good on produce, and that's when you need squash on light land. And you can see this field kind of drops off on this end. It's heavier ground, and with the water we've been having, it's not as good on this end of the field as it is on the other end of the fields.
Mm-hmm. As far as your operation, how big is it, and what all else do you grow?
Right now we're growing about 400 to 450 acres of produce annually. We're still, like I said, we grow corn and soybeans and wheat, probably another, I'd say 300 to 400 acres of grain a year. When people talk about size, it's really hard to put everybody's got a different opinion of size. Some people go by acres, some people go by gross income. I guess we're considered one of the larger produce growers in the area or Central Virginia, but everybody has a different idea when it comes to size of a farm. There's so many different farming techniques and different ways to look at an operation.
I know farmers are always stewards of the land. Is there anything that you've had to do recently, or that you do to kind of conserve your resources, or
Well, we're constantly looking for new ways to conserve, but we are located on the Pamunkey River with our farm, and we're under best management practices for that. And I reckon in the last 10 years, drip irrigation is one of our biggest conservative movements. We've switched over probably, I'd say, close to 200 acres of our production for produce from overhead irrigation to drip irrigation, and that's a whole lot more fuel efficient, a whole lot more water efficient. So I would say that's probably one of our most conservative things in the last 10 or 15 years.
As far as, and just going back to Hanover County, this is where you're from? Are your roots here? Is this, what do you have to say about this county?
I've been here all my life. I grew up here. I haven't gone anywhere. I love Hanover County. Just a lot of sprawl coming from Richmond from the south, and from Fredericksburg, Washington to the north. But I guess in our position, we don't like the sprawl, but it's kind of a good thing because it brings the population, and we got to have people to buy the produce, and that's the whole local movement. That's what's behind it, is that high-end customer.
So you sell to Richmond and Fredericksburg? And
oh yeah,
like
definitely.
That.
A lot of our produce goes directly into Richmond, Fredericksburg, Washington, north of there, Baltimore. But yeah, definitely. The majority of our produce is in the Mid-Atlantic region. Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess one last question, and I ask this a lot. Let me make sure you're still in the picture here. All right, stay there. People that watch this program are not always ag people. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they just turn on Real Virginia. what would you like those people to kind of walk away with from this story? What would you like them to think about Hanover, you know?
Diversification. I think that's a key word in our operation. My dad always told me you don't always put your eggs in one basket. And I think looking at agriculture as a whole, for the whole United States, diversification, some people don't realize how much diversification the United States has. You could talk to one farmer out west and he has opinions, political opinions that are totally different than mine, because we're all so diverse. And when you say farm or agriculture, we do not all fit in one category. Everybody needs to realize there's a whole broad spectrum of categories that we fit into.
Okay. Any other questions that you think we need to hit? I think we did pretty good. I think it's time to put Laura. All right, and stay right there, and let's take it from the top. Tell me what's unique about Hanover County agriculture.
Okay, that would be how diverse the county is when it comes to agriculture. We have a lot of niche farmers that grow anything from small fruit to vegetables to beef, grass-fed beef. And then we have the larger commercial guys that grow vegetables. And the biggest industry in agriculture is still your row croppers with the corn, wheat, and soybean, the grain crops. And we also have, believe it or not, some orchards in Hanover County that are starting up. So it's very diverse in what you can find here.
How does the agriculture in this area benefit the local consumers?
It benefits it because you have the local fresh produce here, and it also helps stimulate the economy because a lot of the fibers and the grains that are being grown here go into Richmond or go even across seas to help boost the local economy.
How would you say that agriculture is changing in Hanover compared to 10 or 15 years ago?
I think about 10, 15 years ago you had a lot of the larger scale farmers, whereas now it's moving towards the smaller scale niche farmers that do more direct marketing. There's only a handful of the larger commercial vegetable producers now, and but on the grain end it seems like they're getting larger, so it's not a lot of small grain operations, but there's a lot of small vegetable and niche farmers now.
And by niche farmers, what do you mean? Do you mean like, well, not wineries, but what do you consider niche farmers?
More the organic or small scale farmers that have just a few products that they grow on a few acres.
Oh, okay. What do you think has driven that type of change?
That would be a question for a century farmer that has been here and seen the economy. But if I had to say something, it would be due to having to get workers and the lack of, or the complications dealing with getting farm help nowadays.
Okay. Yeah, I know some farms have even gone to different types of technology or robotics or things. But getting back to Hanover agriculture, one thing I always hear is Hanover tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Is that named after here, or is that just a name? I mean,
that is a tomato that is grown in Hanover County. The soils here are very rich and they have certain minerals that make the tomato taste different, and it gives that desired taste of a tomato. So Hanover tomato is just grown in Hanover soil.
I mean, they're very popular, and I was up at the vegetable farm on Ashland Road, and they had huge tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, these are Hanover tomatoes. Can't grow them anywhere else.
Right.
You know.
And what's interesting about that is if you tried that tomato over in Ashland, where the soils are different than here, you cross the 95 corridor, it seems like the soils change. So again, you're going to have a different tasting Hanover tomato in the west than you do here in the east.
Okay. Is there a market for Hanover tomatoes?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
That is just depending on who's buying it. The local movement, again, everyone wants that Hanover tomato. So.
And what is your favorite thing about Hanover agriculture?
The farmers, they're great to work with, and they're very open-minded, and will try new things just to keep the agriculture community up and running.
Okay. Any statistics you want to throw out about Hanover in general? I mean, how many farms are there or anything, or how big is it? Anything like that? Or?
I do not know the number of farms. The ag statistics that we have are from 5 years ago, and I've heard varying. So yeah, that's probably not a question.
Okay, no, that's fine. But let's go back again to tell me a little bit about what is grown in Hanover. I mean, we mentioned tomatoes, but go through the whole list again for me.
Okay. I mean, we have beef, we have hogs, we have apples, peaches, berries, all your vegetables, squash, tomatoes, eggplant. I don't know what isn't grown in Hanover, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I'm going to ask you the question. I asked Kevin this too, but some people that watch our show are not ag people. They just turn it on, you know, like, oh, what's this? Real Virginia. What would you like people to take away from this story? You know, like sometimes it's a feeling or something of interest about the place, but what would you like people to kind of take away about Hanover County?
Hanover County just has that passion to keep agriculture alive. Again, they always want to try new things, and they always just keep going. So never give up.
Good, good. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's good.
All righty.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. And if you would say your name and spell it.
Cody Johnson, CODYJOHNSON.
Okay. Cody, tell me if you would, what is your favorite thing about this farming operation? Tell me a little bit about your favorite thing.
I don't know, I like all of it, so I don't really have a favorite thing.
Well, tell me what you like to do then, or what you do.
I guess run equipment would be my favorite thing. So.
What kind of equipment do y'all run?
The Case International in New Holland, but we run a Magnum from the big tractors to the little New Hollands, Fords.
What is the technology involved there? Is there anything like, do you have any new stuff that's just come out? Like,
My uncle runs a spray rig that has GPS and all in it.
How's that work?
I don't know, he could tell you, but I can.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I see they're working out in the field today. What are these guys doing out here?
They're picking squash.
And why? Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, it looks like they've got you do it by hand. They got to cut the.
They pick them by hand, and then they leave them in buckets, and the guys on the wagon pack them. They have a water tub on there. They wash them and put them in the boxes.
Oh, so they wash them right there on the truck?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, what would you like people to kind of take away from this story about Hanover, about the farm?
Not everything just shows up in the grocery store. It's a lot of work put into it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, I think we're good. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.